All right, we're gonna put the first ride on Alex here this morning. So I've done all my prep work, getting her ready, used to my ropes and all that stuff. Me being able to flip the rope over her head. What I like to do on my first ride, halter the lead rope. Majority of the time they're gonna be wearing a snaffle. There won't be any reins tied to it. And I'm gonna steer them with that halter and lead rope, and to change sides, I've got to flip it up over their head. We've climbed on and off of her before, gotten her ready for all that. Basically, I've done all my prep work to get her to where I could get on her and go ride her. So that's me getting on the right side. I gave her head back a little bit right there as I crawled on that side. Depending on the colt, if the colt's pretty bothered, then I'm probably not going to give them. Now, I don't like how she stepped right there as I was getting off, so I kept my foot. She starts to walk off right here. I kept my foot in that stirrup because I don't want her thinking that's a good idea. So basically, in my mind, she doesn't like all the weight on one side. So I will reward her when her front feet are still and she's got a good solid base there. I'm gonna go ahead and step back off this side. I only climb back on that side. There she stepped again. I'm gonna go ahead and bring her nose around here. Get her attention a little bit. Step back up there. That was good. That was better. Not perfect, but she's gonna get a lot of practice, me getting on and off. I started off on the right side. Doesn't matter to me. When I'm gonna put a first ride on a horse, I'm gonna climb on and off both sides at least once. Probably up to that point, I've climbed on and off multiple times both sides. Just getting them ready for getting them through that whole mounting process. I like to climb on and off at least one time, both sides, before I get up there and stay there. Just so I know that if anywhere throughout that ride I could get off one particular side or vice versa. So this is what it's going to look like for me to switch sides. I'm going to go ahead and tip her nose here. I'm going to liven up just a little bit. Use my smooch. So in my groundwork, I've been trying to build that smooch so I can use that smooch to help get her feet to turn loose. This is me just getting them hind feet to turn loose a little bit. And I'm going to play around with this a little bit here as I just work to get her feet moving. When you're by yourself, it's a lot different when you're by yourself, because I've got to be the one to bring up all the life and the energy. She's used to me bringing up life and energy from the ground or off of another horse. She's not used to me bringing up the life and energy up here from on her back. So I need to be thinking about that while I'm doing my groundwork. What could I start to build in this horse that could potentially help me get those feet to free up and get her moving somewhere? So the two things in my mind are the smooch and this idea of, if I bring up some life and some rhythm back here, yes, I'm going to bring up some life and rhythm in my seat, my legs, but I'm going to condition my horses to where if I have rhythm back here on their butt, I want them to bring up some life and rhythm in their feet. Okay, so I'm going to use the end of my lead rope. So really all the all the tools that I need for my first ride is I'm just trying to get my horses to just go carry me around as a passenger. It's just a halter and a lead rope. This is a 14-foot lead rope. So I got plenty of rope here that I can use to help get her moving. See how I used it right there? And for the most part, as she tips her nose around there and smells my foot, you know, first ride, I'm not gonna get after her for that. Because this is my introduction to getting her to be okay with me being up here. She's kind of thinking left. Just here to walk. I'm going to steer a little bit to the right. She's thinking left. I'm going to kind of direct the nose to the right. She's still thinking left. She's still thinking left. I'm not really asking the feet to free up a lot right there. That to me was just a good spot at this slower speed where I could go direct just a little bit. Once I start asking her to speed up some to the trot and the lope, I'm not going to be very picky about what direction she's going. I'm just going to say, let's just go find a little bit more forward. So maybe right here, I'm going to liven up here by this gray horse and say, you might want to come over by that horse, but the one thing we're not going to do right there is we're not going to rest there. So if she ends up there a lot, so that might just be a spot there where I just bump her up to a trot. And as she starts floating around here, I'm trying to, there I directed just a little bit to the right. She gets to floating around here. My left hand, I might run my left hand forward and put some slack in that lead rope. I'm just trying to say, I really don't want you running into that lead rope. As I'm trying to get, I'm going to direct to the right one more time. We'll liven her back up to the trot. Had a girl. I don't want her running into the end of this lead rope. I want her to feel like she's got the freedom to go find some forward. I can spank either side here in a minute. I might be spanking both sides. Okay, doesn't matter. I want my horse balanced, meaning if they're bothered by me doing it on one side and not the other, I want to get that horse evened up a little bit to where that horse isn't bothered by it on that one particular side. And then I just get her freed up here. Let her go find some forward. She thought about going right, and then she decided to come back left. Depending on your horse. So me knowing I'm going to ride this mare for the first time today, and I'm going to be asking for some forward, and I'm not going to have any help, where I'm going to have to be the one to get it all accomplished myself. What I chose to do on this filly this morning is not work her so much, getting her prepared and getting her ready. Almost to say I'm going to leave her just a little bit, with a little bit more energy, a little bit more life left in the tank. So when I ask for some life here, once I get on her, it shouldn't be as hard to get. Now, if I'm on a horse that's really sensitive, maybe I don't leave quite as much life in the tank. And a person trying to figure out how much life do I want in the tank, finding that specific or perfect recipe, that's a trial and error thing. Okay, I might crawl on this horse one day and think, oh my goodness, I left way too much life in the tank before I crawled up there. And the next day I might crawl up there and say, there's nothing left. I used it all up working on some stuff on the ground before I got up there. So you got to kind of figure out what you think you're gonna need, how that horse is gonna react to stuff. Now she comes by old Gray over here, I'm gonna see if I can get her to elope. And I'll just let her lope. Okay, we'll go do that again. We'll do it again. So I'm really not thinking a lot about, we'll go back to it again. I'm not thinking about when she gets to the lope, keeping her loping, okay? This time she loped a little further. I really like that. I'm gonna go ahead and direct her down to a walk. Good job, Mom. Bringing that life up to a lope at this stage, if I squeeze and I smooch and I liven my whole body up and I'm spanking with my lead rope to get her to the lope, as soon as she gets to the lope, I want to reward her. Okay, she might give me 1 stride, she might give me 4 strides, she might give me 20 strides, she might just take off as fast as she can go. As soon as she gets faster than a trot, I want to reward her. Okay, so whatever she gives me is enough for me to reward her in the beginning. And then I just build it from there. I want her thinking that when I liven up, when you get to the lope, there's a release, a reward waiting for you there. This is day 1. So I'm more interested in getting her to the lope and rewarding her than I am interested in getting her to the lope and maintaining the lope at this point. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna set it up here as she gets across here. She starts coming this way. We'll try to liven her up going this way. So she loped off there. She's in the left lead, but this is the coolest thing about this little mare. She's so dang smooth to ride that I can lope her around in that counter canter and it'd be easy to sit. Now I'm going to take ownership of that lead she picked up right there. I'm spanking on the right hip and I'm asking her to go right. I mean, at this point I don't have a lot, but there's a good chance as I'm spanking on the right hip, that hip is stepping away from my spank to the left just enough for her to pick up that left lead going across there. So in my mind, I'm probably better off to switch sides. So if I'm gonna go right, let's spank the outside hip, the left hip, to help that mare find the right lead. And if I'm going left, we're gonna spank the outside hip, which would then be the right hip, to go left, to help her find that left lead. So I can flip my lead rope over here on the left side. I've got the tail end of it here. I'm gonna liven up, I'm gonna smooch, and then I'm gonna start spanking. There we go. That time she loped off. She had a lot more life loping off. I like that. Again, as she's sloping off, my number 1 goal the first ride is to stay out of her way. Just let her go find some forward, okay? All this is ever really going to be is me just maybe asking her, would you allow me to direct a little bit? And then let's go find some forward. And we're going to use all that forward to work the brace out of your body as we go. So here we'll ask for going to the right. She cuts across here. I'm going to let her get over here against the fence. at least closer to the fence. There we go. I spanked her a little bit harder just to get a little bit more forward. That forward motion get flowing around there. Very nice. By letting her get a little bit closer to the fence, if she's thinking left and I'm trying to get her to lope right, if I let her get a little bit closer to the fence where the fence is on her left side, as I lope her off, she's going to be less apt to try to turn left while I'm trying to get the lope. Like right here, she's up against the fence. So that's a good spot for me. It would be a lot easier to get her to go to the right there. And not having to worry about her turning left as she speeds up to the lope. I like this. Now I come back to the walk. My walk's really quiet. I'm out of her way, I'm out of her face, and I kind of got some forward now to this walk where to start out with, there just wasn't much forward. It's understandable. First time she's packed a rider. If I can set this up, first day, first ride, everything I've done up to this point has been to teach this mare how to go find some forward. So if there was ever a spot in there where she got troubled, I would send her out there and tell her to go find some forward, knowing that when I got on, I'm going to need that forward. So it's all built up to this point, okay? And I don't want to change that once I get up here. I've tried to stay out of her way in the things that I did getting her prepared for this, where she could go find some forward. And then when I get up here, I want to do the same thing. If I get up here and I feel like I got to hold on to this lead rope because I'm afraid of what she might go do, then in my mind, I might tell myself, I'm not sure I had her mentally ready, okay? I didn't feel like I had the confidence to get up here and stay out of her way and let her go find some forward there. Then everything I'm doing with that lead rope is just going to make the forward that I'm asking for or looking for that much harder to get. Now, my first day, as far as once I get up there, I don't tend to be up there that long. I have an idea of what I want to accomplish. My idea of that first ride is we are going to walk, we are going to trot, and we are going to lope. Here I'm just putting some weight in that stirrup, trying to say, hey, I'm about to put a lot of weight in that stirrup. I've backed my right foot out, and I'll step down there. Good job, Mom. The days that I was getting her ready with the saddle and I was working on the mounting and dismounting, to me, I don't call that a first ride because I never really went anywhere. I was just getting her where I could stand here and jump around her and bounce to get up in the saddle. To me, the first ride is when I get up there and I get out of their way and I say, okay, all those things I've taught you up till now, let's go put those to use. The only difference now is you're packing me as a rider. I'm going to stay out of your way. We're going to go see if we can find the walk, trot, and the lope so you can get comfortable at all three. So I don't have to worry about, are you going to be able to mentally hold things together when we add a little speed to it. I'm going at it first day. And what I've noticed is, for me, preparing my horses, knowing that's the direction that I'm going to go, that I know I'm going to ask for that lope when I get up there, and then I get up there and I get it that first day, what it lets me do from there on is just find some fluid forward motion so much easier because of the approach that I took building up to this first ride and through that first ride. Alex, great job. It would be nice if they all made it look that easy. That's what it's supposed to look like. So I couldn't be happier. Great job.